What we're going to talk about today is the MAGI Clinical Research Conference West. MAGI Clinical Research Conference West. I had the opportunity to go to that. It was last Saturday through Wednesday. Give people one more minute to get up in the live here. We're talking MAGI. We're talking all things MAGI. It was a great honor to meet all the people that I did meet. Not going to mention any names here. Saw plenty of great sessions, speakers, all that good stuff. So we're going to kind of talk about it, what it was like being in Vegas for the conference. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the conference itself. We're going to talk about the ROI of these conferences. We're going to talk about why you should go to these conferences and should you go to MAGI. So without further ado, no one's in here, but of course you'll be able to see the replay here. So yeah, let's go ahead and get into it, guys. So the title of this episode today is the MAGI Clinical Research Conference Review. And I was afforded the opportunity to go. Great conference. Now, I am a CRA by trade. So I think this conference kind of skews more towards an older crowd, older in the sense more experienced, more managerial level, more executive level. So if you are somebody like a CTA or study coordinator, there's no doubt you will still get good experience from this. Actually, you'll get great experience because you're going to be talking to people that are way above your level. You're going to be talking to people that are way above your level, and that are actually going to be hiring people like you. So it's actually a great conference to go to for networking. I feel like it's a lot better for networking than ACRP. Now, the last time I went to ACRP was in 2019. I did meet a decent number of people, but the relationships you build at MAGI were just way stronger, I feel like. Now, of course, I've only been to one MAGI conference, so take that with, a grain of salt. But the conference was truly excellent for that. Now, contrasting that with ACRP, I feel like ACRP is bigger. ACRP, no doubt, is bigger. ACRP also has more sessions. It has a more diversity of sessions just because there's more people there. What do they call it? The showroom where everyone has their companies and booths and things like that. In the giveaways. MAGI had one of those also, but I feel like the one for ACRP was definitely way bigger. Way bigger. Now, bigger doesn't always mean better. Again, I felt like the relationships you build at MAGI were definitely way stronger. I feel like I've definitely met some people that I'll actually keep in touch with at the MAGI conference. So we've got one person in the chat. So if you want to make a comment or a question about anything I'm talking about, go ahead and send it in. Thank you for joining, whoever you are. So yeah, MAGI Clinical Research Conference. I felt like the sessions, though, were also excellent. So there were a bunch of sessions geared towards sites. So they did polls in all these sessions saying who's from the sponsor, who's from a CRO, who's from the site. So the highest two, around 40% per session that I found, about 40% of the people in the room were from sponsor, the other 40% or 35% were from the site level, and in the middle were the CROs, which is wild. So it's nice to know who is who in the room. So sponsor is great. If you want to go to a conference where you're going to be rubbing shoulders with sponsors and sites, I feel like the MAGI conference was great for that. Now, I met a lot of good people at both site and at the sponsor level. And I did meet a few people who are interested in working with us as a sponsor as well. So overall, great networking in that regard. I felt very, very helpful to people, connecting people with other people. So that was great. Um, I believe the conference, now this was Magi West. They have an East Coast one as well. And I believe the conference was $1,250 just to attend. And that was for the entire time. And that does not include hotel. That just includes the entrance fee. And of course, that includes like lunch every day and hors d'oeuvres and stuff. I mean, they kept us fed all day long, pretty much. Coffee in the morning, water in the morning, water throughout the day, and then we had lunch, which was actually pretty good. And then they had maybe like hors d'oeuvres and stuff, and drinks. They had drinks every day as well, like alcoholic beverages if you're interested in that. During the kind of networking, kind of mingling session. And to be honest, I really didn't get bored at all. I felt like, you met some really good people. Again, I'm gonna keep harping on that this whole broadcast is the networking, because the networking was fantastic at Magi. I feel like everyone was there, energized, wanted to meet people, wanted to talk, wanted to connect, all that stuff. And so I think that's important at one of these conferences. I felt like ACRP. Now that could have just been me. I felt like ACRP conference, people weren't as interested in the networking. They were just kind of there. Now, by comparison, the ACRP was in Nashville, whereas the Magi conference was in Las Vegas this year. So I felt like all in all, the ACRP conference people were not as friendly and open to talking as they were at Magi. Like I'm saying, guys, I have some really, really thoughtful, deep conversations. I sit there and talk to people for like 30, 40 minutes. And that just was not the case at ACRP. Now, I don't know if what it was. It could be because this is the first conference since the pandemic, maybe. I don't know what it was, but overall, it was a great, great conference for networking. So that's one of the top things I would recommend Magi for. Not to say you can't get that at ACRP or any of the other conferences, but Magi was great for that. So some of the sessions I went to, quality. We talked about quality in terms of monitoring, quality in terms of that's basically the monitoring and how do you make sure that overall quality and stuff like that is being met over your clinical trials. So they had a panel, someone from the site level, someone from the sponsor level, and I believe someone from the CRO level, if I'm not mistaken. And that was fantastic. Oh, and I'll also make another point too. So ACRP, by extension, a whole bunch of people from my company came as well. So I think that might have inhibited the networking experience. So if you can go to some of these conferences, I feel like it's better and you'll probably put yourself out there more if less people from your company are going. So at least that was my experience. So you guys can take from that what you will. So let's see. Yeah, some of the sessions, quality was good. I did a GCP session. What other session did I do? Trying to think. I was only really there for 2 days because I did leave a little early. So I got 2 full days. I got a session on innovation in clinical trials with a guy from Merck. He talked about his what he does innovation wise, and he was talking about doing a mobile clinic basically to give to send out to rural areas or hard to reach areas where patients can't easily get to the site. So I thought that was awesome. I thought that was interesting and definitely something that more people should investigate. So yeah, if you guys have any questions, let me drop my banner here. If you guys have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Any question about the conferences or just clinical research in general, I'm here to answer them. We just going live right now. So it's been a while since I've done a live, but I've always loved doing these. And I just couldn't take the time to edit a video right now. I just wanted to, just cut the mic on and go. So yeah, guys. So I went to a few of those sessions. Well, I actually went to sessions every day, all day. And they were fantastic. They were good. But the true ROI is the networking again of these conferences. So Vegas, I'm sure you guys want to hear about what Vegas was like. And again, I did not get to take a bunch of pictures because actually you walk in, and by the way, this conference took place at the Planet Hollywood Casino and Hotel and Resort. Um, so I did not actually stay there, but I stayed nearby. The Planet Hollywood Casino and Resort was very nice. The staff was very nice. Everything was very nice and accommodating. I have nothing bad to say about that. They did a very good job with the Magi conference. Probably would have even been better if I did stay there, because I would just have to walk downstairs to go to the conference, which is great. Very easy, as opposed to having to Uber back and forth every day. So the Planet Hollywood Casino was great. Would definitely go there again and would probably stay there next time. So that was great. The food was great, from the casino, Hollywood Resort and Casino. Um, but Vegas as a whole. So, like I said, the conference kind of skews to an older demographic. People tend to bring their families, to Vegas, so they might bring their families to come gamble, come hang out, et cetera, et cetera. I felt a lot of people brought their families. So if you're looking for a conference with a bunch of young people and partying and stuff, that's probably not going to be this Magi conference. People kept talking about this SRS, which I think is more for the site level, which makes sense. That's where you're going to get your more entry level folks. But they said that is going to be where you have more of that kind of stuff. So definitely something to consider. So yeah, definitely something to consider. And let me see what else. I think one of the best things about the conference too is the speakers. So getting to meet with these speakers, I met one gentleman who is an executive coach, and he coaches pharmaceutical executives. He basically was talking about how, you go up in the rankings, director, president, vice president, president of a department, then you might go to associate vice president of the organization. So these are different skill sets you need than when you were a CRA or when you were a project manager. So they were talking about that, or he was talking about that, and how, you go from managing, $10 million in your department to managing $100 million or something, or $1 billion or $50 billion. Those are different skill sets, or slightly different skill sets. So that's kind of where he comes in. And so he's done his work with a lot of pharmaceutical executives, which I thought was interesting. So that is interesting as well. All right. So we got a comment. Black women in clinical research. Shout out to you, Black women in clinical research. Did you attend the Magi conference as well? Or what's up? Thank you for your comment. And thanks for tuning in. So, or have you been to a conference at all? We'll let Black women in clinical research comment here. So they did. What did you think of the Magi conference? Black women in clinical research. What did you think? And so we'll let them get their thoughts together. Yeah, guys. So, just the conversations were very good. Too many conferences. Okay. I would say what are some of your other favorite conferences? Because a lot of people on here don't get to go to that many conferences. Luckily, I had the pleasure of being able to attend this year. But a lot of the listeners and other people that listen to this channel don't really get the opportunity to do that. So just trying to share as much as I can about the conference. So we'll see. Let's see what she says. She says it's really good. The patient perspective needs to be at the forefront. Okay. I agree with you. I don't know if I attended too many patient-centered sessions. I remember seeing on the schedule a few, but not sure. I think it definitely could have been more at the forefront with this conference. That's a lot quicker. or that's a lot. I forgot what I was even saying. I lost my train of thought, guys. Um, anyway, yeah, the patient perspective is definitely something that could be okay. ACRP, SOCRA, SCRS. Okay, so Black women in clinical research. Which of those four between ACRP, SOCRA, SCRS, MAGI are your favorite? Um, and maybe you could even tell a little bit why. Um, actually, let me see some. Danielle Mitchell. Okay. Danielle Mitchell. So maybe you could tell which one you like going to the most and why. Okay, we got two people. I'm not going to put your name on YouTube, uh, Danielle, or at least I'm not going to do it on the stream here. So we got two people listening. You know, these streams really good. All right, and where was ACRP? You said ACRP live music and the think tank. Okay. She wants her name on the stream, y'all. She wants her name there. All right, so we're gonna do it. And I think I've Orlando. So ACRP was in Orlando this year. I've been to ACRP before when it was a couple years ago, and it was good. I felt like Magi conference. Uh, I felt like Magi conference. You definitely have more thoughtful conversations with people. Um, I felt like the networking was a lot better. Now, it could just be the type of people that tend to go to the Magi conference. People, Black women in clinical research is agreeing with your boy. Um, I think the people that tend to go to the Magi conference are a little bit upper level, more upper level than some of the other conferences. I remember at ACRP, there was a lot of study coordinators, maybe not a lot, CTAs, whereas uh, at Magi, it's going to be like their manager comes or like their manager's manager comes, um, or even like executives. So, I mean, I met a lot of these executive people at the Magi conference, which I thought was different. And maybe that kind of speaks to the fact that the conversations tended to be um, more thorough and just connect a little bit better. Um, and I mean, ACRP, and maybe it had to do with the session length too, because a lot of the sessions were like 2 hours with a break or 3 hours with a break in between. Maybe that had to do with it as well. Whereas the ACRP ones, if I remember correctly, were like 45 minutes. And so there's a lot of moving around and shuffling going on, whereas people are kind of staying put longer at Magi. What do you have to say about that? Um, Black women in clinical research asked me my name. So I do not share my name. I do not share where I work, but just know I am in the industry. Um, and you just call me ECRG. And I do that because you never know how the employer is going to take it. You never know how the employer is going to take it. So let's see what else. Does anyone else who's following along got any questions for myself or Black women in clinical research regarding Magi conference or anything clinical research related? And Black women in clinical research, if you want to do a live together, send me an email, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com. We can hop on here, answer some questions and stuff. I didn't really advertise this. I just kind of did it an hour beforehand. And so that's why I'm not surprised, but I'm sure people will listen to on the playback. Um, I just wanted to give my thoughts on the conference in general in Las Vegas. What did you think about Las Vegas as a locale for the conference? Again, this was my first time going to Las Vegas, and I really liked it. I wish I could have stayed a little bit longer, but I thought overall it was a good locale. I think you mentioned going to, what was the other conference? SOCRA and SCRS. So one of the reasons why I didn't go to SOCRA this year is because it was not in person, if I remember correctly. It was virtual. I think a lot of them were virtual this year. So that's one of the reasons why I chose to go to MAGI. Wanted to go in person. And I think that makes a lot of sense for these conferences because the true ROI is meeting people, networking, trading contact information, seeing how you can do business together, et cetera, et cetera. The sessions are great. You might learn something, a thing or two, but the true ROI is definitely the networking aspect. So hopefully you got a lot of good contacts as well. I certainly did. And I think Magi is definitely one I would consider again next year. I think so. Okay. Anybody else got any questions here? Let me see what else I want to talk about with Magi. So yeah, the cost, it's not cheap, guys. Now I know if you become a speaker at one of these conferences, they will typically comp your entrance fee. So I think it was $1,250 to $1,250 to attend. And then you have to pay for hotel on top of that, which is probably another 1,000 or close to 1,000. It's like 200 something a night. So let's say it was 800 4 nights. And then you have to pay for flight. So let's say that's like 600. So we're getting close to 3,000 to attend one of these conferences, especially depending on where you're coming from. If you're already in Vegas, then obviously it's going to be cheaper. Or if you're already in that city, it's going to be cheaper, et cetera, et cetera. If you're not in that city, then it can get expensive. So that's kind of why I feel like the ROI is there, because since you have to pay a lot, either these people are paying out of pocket, which is probably rare, or the company sending them. And so the company wants to make sure that the right people are going. So they're only going to send people that, you know, the right people are going to are going to go. So that's why the ROI is so high at these conferences. But one of the best ways to go is to, if your company will not pay for it, I would ask your company, your manager, if they'll pay for it or pay for some of it. Or B, see if you can become a speaker in some capacity, some way. And I think the ROI for you will be tremendous if you can go. As far as leveling up, I met one lady. I mean, you meet people from companies you never even heard of. I met one lady from, I think it was Leo Pharmaceuticals, a sponsor based out of San Diego, I believe. And she was telling me about some of the perks that they give their CRAs. And she was no longer a CRA. She was a lead CRA. She was in that lead CRA role. So she doesn't travel as much anymore. But they're talking about how they give the CRAs cars, things like that. Now, the only company I've heard doing that is Merck, but it definitely piqued my curiosity because it's like, wow, why are you doing that for your CRAs? And she was saying they give them the car and they still travel by flight. Because I got a friend, he's been on here before. He goes by T. He talks about his car from Merck. He's got a nice one, y'all. Boy, he got that brand new 2022 or 2023 Volvo XC90, the big boy Volvo SUV. So the longer you've been at the company, typically the more they upgrade your car. So that's what he's got now. And this I think is his third company car. So he's having a ball, but he drives to most of the places he does. So he drives to most of these places where I fly most of these places. And she was telling me at Leo, they fly as well, even though they have the company car. So I thought that was interesting. So that's another thing you get from these conferences, y'all, is you understand other compensation packages. People talk. People are looking for jobs. People are looking for ins at certain companies. So there's definitely high ROI here if you put yourself out there. And that's why I think going with not a lot of people you know is good, because you're going to be forced to meet people, network, etc., with people that you don't necessarily know. So yeah, guys, I'm telling you, you definitely want to find your way at one of these conferences. Now, I'm sure if Black Women in Clinical Research comes back, she'll tell us about SCRS. Or I told her to send me an email. I don't know if she's going to come back, but SCRS is mainly for the sites, so maybe it's cheaper. I don't know, but apparently that's a good one to go to as well. Great networking, and they really facilitate it more. My understanding at SCRS, they facilitate the networking a lot more. Um, Whereas at Magi, the networking happens organically just because you're talking to people. They had a networking bingo, which I thought was awesome. So one of the things was like, have someone initial here if it was their first time at the Magi conference. Have someone initial here if they're a physician. Have someone initial here if they're an attorney. And then you have to do okay, Black women in clinical research is back. Welcome back. So I thought that was awesome. So let's see if I asked you. So Miss Clinical Research, what what is I mean, why do you go to these conferences? What is one of your favorite things about these conferences? Um, well, yeah, why do you go? And while she's typing that up, um, I wish there was a way to add you in here quickly, but because I think that would be good. But maybe we'll have to set something up later. If you shoot me an email, we can set something up for a later date. Have you on here? You can talk a little bit about what you do. Um, but yeah, guys. Okay, networking. Yep, that's the biggest ROI I feel like from these conferences. Um, that's the biggest ROI for sure. And I was just telling the audience, these things aren't cheap either. Um, just to go is 12.50 unless you're speaking. I think if you're speaking, then they'll probably comp your pass. But if you're not, 12.50. Um, and that's just to go, let alone flight, hotel, all that stuff, food. Because I know I got some food the first night, and it was like $60 for some fried rice. Did I get appetizer? An appetizer and uh, one beer. So Las Vegas is not cheap. That's for sure. Okay. Um. So let's see what else. Yeah, guys. So I think that covers it for the Magi conference. Um. Yeah, I think that covers it. I don't think anyone. We don't have any other Q&As. Any people else asking any questions? So we're gonna shut it down here in a minute. As always, guys, send me an email, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com, for any questions you may have. We got resume review program still going on, um, career consultation, interview preparation, all that good stuff still going on. Send me an email, eliteclinicalgroup@gmail.com, if you're interested. And also, I want to see the views on this live go higher, or at least the playback views. Let me know in the comments if you guys want me to do more lives. I did. We get me and Dan Fair from the Clinical Trials Guru. We used to do a bunch of these earlier in the year, but I know he stopped doing a bunch of lives um, just because he wanted to do more pre-recorded content. And I really like doing these lives with the live Q&A. So comment down below if I should bring these back. Bring some of my favorite guests back. T, Eric, was it T, and then the girls from Atlanta, the CRAs from Atlanta. Actually, one of them's moving back, so we might do a live interview here soon. So bring back all your favorite guests. We've got a bunch of new content. A lot of these people have changed positions, so we got a bunch of new content coming to the channel. I've got to get T back on too, because when she was on last time, I think she was just training to become a CTL. So now she's been in it for a few months. So we want to get an update on that. And then Eric has changed as well. He's a CTL now too. So a lot of new interviews coming soon. And also let me guys know what you want to see. I've got a bunch of videos ready to drop too. So I'm gonna try and get at least one a week. So we'll see. Anyway, guys, take care. Have a good night. Thank you, Black Women in Clinical Research. Send me an email. We'll talk soon, guys. Bye-bye.